The world of the NBA has seen its fair share of talented players who, for various reasons, seem to vanish from the spotlight, whether due to injuries, personal issues, or unexpected circumstances. These athletes once captured the attention of fans around the world, but later faded away from the public eye, leaving all of us wondering what happened to them. Join me as we find out what happened to these NBA stars. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for more NBA videos, and follow me on Twitter. Now let's get to the video. First up, Stephon Marbury. Now, Stephon Marbury was the 4th overall pick in the 1996 NBA draft, selected by the Milwaukee Bucks, but then traded for Ray Allen, who was drafted immediately after him. In his first season in the league, Marbury averaged 15 points and 7 assists per game and was named to the All-Rookie team in 1997. During the lockout short season in 1999, Marbury demanded a trade. He said he wanted to be closer to his family and friends, but other reports said he wanted to go to a market that would provide more endorsement opportunities, while there were other people who speculated that Marbury genuinely disliked the city of Minnesota and was jealous of Kevin Garnett's new contract. Believe what you will. Ultimately, he was traded to the New Jersey Nets in a 3-team trade. And while in New Jersey, he blossomed into an NBA All-Star. He made the All-NBA team in 2000 and was selected as a reserve for the 2001 NBA All-Star game. Not to mention, he hit 2 clutch threes to win that game. He also scored a career-high 50 points on February 3, 2001. And despite his individual accolades, the Nets never made the playoffs during his tenure with the team. In the 2001 season, Marbury was traded to the Phoenix Suns for Jason Kidd. Marbury made his second All-Star team and All-NBA team in 2003. But things just didn't work out, as Marbury only had minimal success with the Suns, and he was traded again to the New York Knicks on January 5th. But this brought Marbury's career full circle, as he grew up in New York and was a lifelong Knicks fan. He also played for the U.S. Olympic team in 2004, and this is noteworthy because this was the first U.S. team that failed to win the gold medal. In fact, they didn't even get silver. They ended up only taking home the bronze medal. During the 2005 season, things started to take a turn for the worse for Stephon, as he would get into a public feud with then head coach Larry Brown. In an interview, Stephon said, "He always crosses the line. That's nothing new. Certain coaches deal with certain things certain ways, and he handles things through the media, as opposed to sitting down and talking with people. And still, if you sit down and you talk with coach, it's liable to get back to everybody. So you're really not safe there either." Larry Brown responded and said, "So you're the best guard in the league, and the team is 17-45. Yeah, it's the coach's fault. I don't know why you play a team sport and not be concerned about making your teammates better and helping your team win games. That's the only thing that really matters. And if you're the best player, surely you're going to have some effect on the game's outcome." Brown was fired at the end of the season, but things weren't getting any better. The Knicks were spiraling once again, and Stephon was involved in another public incident, but this time it was with new head coach Isaiah Thomas. Marbury apparently left the team after learning he was going to be removed from the starting lineup. There were even reports that Marbury and Thomas actually came to blows on a team plane, and Marbury threatened to blackmail Thomas for taking him out of the starting lineup. And ultimately, he was removed from his position, and Mike D'Antoni took over as the head coach. And Marbury's position as a starting point guard was surely in question. Although D'Antoni told Marbury that he had an opportunity to play 35 minutes a game if he wanted to, Marbury felt like the Knicks had gone in a different direction, as they had also brought in Chris Duhon, and he allegedly refused to participate. And on December 1st, 2008, Marbury was banned from attending any Knicks practices or games. Mind you, he's on the active roster at the time. He would leave the Knicks after the season and eventually play one more season with the Celtics. He was offered a contract for the 2010 season, but only for the vet minimum. And he declined, saying he would take a year off from basketball to focus on his business interests. And in 2015, he received his green card and has found a home in China, where he is the owner of a Chinese arena football league. Next up, Ben Gordon. Ben Gordon, the 3rd overall pick in the 2004 NBA draft, selected by the Chicago Bulls. And as a rookie, Gordon helped lead a turnaround from a 3-14 start to finishing the season 47-35 and securing the 4th seed in the playoffs. He averaged 15 points per game while coming off the bench and became the first and only rookie in league history to win Sixth Man of the Year coming off the bench. And during his sophomore season, he was shifted between the starting lineup and coming off the bench. In April 2006 against the Washington Wizards, Gordon recorded the most three-pointers made in a single game with 9. But it was really his third season where he took that next step for himself and for the Bulls. He had become the full-time shooting guard and had adjusted well, averaging 24 points per game on 46% shooting. He also had a career-high 48 points against the Milwaukee Bucks in that same season. And in the first round of the playoffs, Gordon and the Bulls faced the defending champion Miami Heat, and they won the series in 4 games, becoming the first team in NBA history to sweep the defending champions in the very first round. Now, they would eventually lose in 6 games to the Pistons in the second round, but there was optimism in Chicago. And in his 4th season, after winning their first playoff series, the Bulls came into the season with high expectations. With Gordon and Luol Deng both emerging as key pieces to the success, they were offered contract extensions. But believing they could earn more money in free agency, they both rejected the offers. And after the Bulls ended up having an underwhelming season at 33-49, Gordon was only offered a qualifying offer of $6.4 million for 1 year. And to make matters worse, the Bulls drafted Derrick Rose with the first overall pick, and questions began immediately if Gordon and Rose could coexist, as they were both score-first guards. Gordon would end up leaving the Bulls after the season and sign with the Pistons on a 5-year, $55 million contract. But after 3 seasons, he was traded to the Charlotte Bobcats, and in the summer of 2012, 2 years later, he was waived by the Bobcats. He was signed with the Magic in 2014 on a 2-year contract, and his final game was played on March 22, 2015. He only scored 3 points with 1 rebound and 1 assist. He was waived a few months later. He was signed with the Golden State Warriors, but he only appeared in 2 preseason games. And then things got worse. On June 1st, 2017, Gordon was arrested for pulling fire alarms at a Los Angeles apartment building. In October 2017, he was hospitalized for a psychiatric evaluation after an altercation with a female at a wellness center in Mount Vernon, New York. On November 20th, 2017, Gordon was arrested again for punching a manager in an apartment complex, pulling a knife, and robbing him of his security deposit. 3 years later, in February 2020, Gordon revealed he was suffering from bipolar disorder and detailed his battle with mental illness since retirement. But on October 10th, 2022, he was arrested again for allegedly punching his son at an airport in New York and resisting arrest. And on April 4th, 2023, he was arrested once again and taken into custody after he allegedly threatened an employee of a juice shop with a knife. It seems like his career only got worse after he retired from the NBA. I really hope he gets the help that he needs, like, seriously. Next up, Monte Ellis. Monte Ellis, the 40th overall pick in the 2005 NBA draft, selected by the Golden State Warriors, where he would play for the next 7 seasons. He had a slow start to his career, but in 2007, he became the most improved player as he increased his points, rebounds, and assists from 6 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist per game to 16 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds per game. He also helped the We Believe Warriors team defeat the Dallas Mavericks in 6 games in the first round, becoming the first AFC to capture a best-of-7 series in NBA history. In 2008, Ellis re-signed with the Warriors on a 6-year, $66 million contract. However, in August, he was sidelined for 3.5 months and required surgery on a torn ligament in his ankle. The injury occurred while he was riding a motor scooter. But the situation got worse for Monte as he lied to the Warriors and told them he hurt himself in a pickup basketball game. He would eventually come clean about it days later, but as a result, he was suspended by the Warriors for 30 games without pay. But ironically enough, it was about the same number of games he was expected to miss with the injury anyway, so I guess it kind of worked out. He returned from the injury on November 30th and scored a career-high 45 points, only to break that record 3 months later with 46 points. But there were speculations as people were starting to wonder if Stephen Curry and Monte Ellis could actually coexist, as they were both score-first guards. But the 2010 season saw Ellis and Curry become one of the most lethal duos in the NBA. And for the season, Monte ranked 8th in scoring at 24 points per game, first in minutes at 40 minutes per game, and third in steals at almost 3 steals a game. Many fans, teams, and players around the league thought Monte was deserving of an All-Star selection. But that didn't happen. On March 13th, 2012, Monte was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, where he would only play 1 season before signing with the Dallas Mavericks on a 3-year, $25 million contract in the summer of 2013. He would play 2 seasons with the Mavs, and after scoring in bunches and hitting many clutch shots, he wanted a long-term deal. But after finding out that the Mavericks were ready to trade him and that he should opt into the final year of his contract, that likely sealed the deal for him with the Mavericks. And he decided not to pick up the final year of his contract, and he became a free agent. He would have surgery on his right knee before ultimately signing a 4-year, $44 million contract with the Pacers. But at this point, his numbers had drastically decreased from 19 points a game to 11. And after 2 years, he was waived by the Indiana Pacers, although he was still paid through the 2021 season. And that was the last we seen of Monte in the NBA. Until December 18, 2023, he was honored by the Golden State Warriors. He thanked the Warriors on social media and reunited with his backcourt teammate Steph Curry for the first time since 2012.
Thank you for all the love and support over the years that you showed me. Let's go Dub Nation.
Next up, Andrew Bynum. The 10th overall pick in the 2005 draft, selected by the Los Angeles Lakers, where he would play 7 seasons. His rookie season started off very quietly, but things would pick up. On January 16, 2006, Shaq returned to Los Angeles, and at one point, Shaq dunked over Bynum on a putback attempt. And on the very next play, he hit Shaq with a spin move and dunk. He then ran down the court and shoved Shaq with his elbow, who of course retaliated by elbowing Bynum in the chest. They both received texts for the situation, but it set the tone for Bynum. He wasn't going to let Shaq bully him. In 2006, Bynum fully took over the starting center position as he was starting to make a name for himself. He averaged a double-double on a few occasions and had a career-high 7 blocks and a season-high 16 rebounds against the Charlotte Bobcats on January 26, 2007. And the New Jersey Nets were interested in acquiring Bynum for Jason Kidd. Now, I'm really wondering how that would have turned out. But during the 2008 season, Bynum helped the Lakers to a 26-11 start, and on Christmas Day, he went 11 of 13 from the field for 28 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. And just when Bynum was really hitting that stride, he suffered a partially dislocated kneecap in his left knee. And after the injury, the Lakers traded for Pau Gasol. Maybe they wouldn't have if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, who knows. Ultimately, Bynum would miss 46 games and the rest of the season, and the Lakers would get to the finals, but without Bynum anchoring their defense and providing his offensive output, they would lose to the Boston Celtics in 6 games. The following season, Bynum re-signed with the Lakers on a 4-year, $58 million contract, but in February 2009, Bynum would suffer another injury as he tore his MCL in his right knee and would miss the next 32 games. He would return sooner than expected, wearing a really awkward knee brace, and really he just wasn't the same player. But Bynum's presence alone was enough for the Lakers to advance to the NBA Finals and win the championship, as he helped neutralize Dwight Howard, who was at the peak of his powers at the time. The Lakers would go on to win a 2nd championship in consecutive seasons, but the injuries were catching up to Bynum. He tore his meniscus during the playoffs of the 2010 season, but instead of getting surgery immediately, this dude decided to attend the World Cup in South Africa and then vacation in Europe, saying his injury isn't serious. So instead of getting the surgery in April or May, he waited until July 28th, pretty much August, to get the surgery. But mentally as well. During the second round of the playoffs, he was ejected as the Lakers would get swept by the Dallas Mavericks for a flagrant foul on JJ Barea, and he was suspended for the next 4 games of the following season. He would be selected as an All-Star for the 2012 season, but for some reason, Bynum started thinking he could do things he wanted to do. And on March 28th against the Golden State Warriors, he was benched by Mike Brown for taking a random 3-pointer, and the Lakers were only up 6 at the time. Bynum would not join his team during huddles or during timeouts. He would sit by himself towards the end of the bench. It was clear he was distancing himself from the team. And in the summer of 2012, the Lakers were done, and Bynum was signed and traded to the Philadelphia 76ers. But he wouldn't play a single game for the Sixers, as he was starting to develop arthritis in his knees and required treatment. And he was never able to play as his knees were starting to deteriorate. After the season, he signed with the Cavaliers for $24 million over 2 years, but was traded to the Chicago Bulls and waived the same day without ever playing a game for the Bulls. He was signed with the Pacers in 2014, but the injuries were just overwhelming. He only appeared in 2 games for the Pacers, and we never saw him return to the NBA. There were reports of him trying to get back into the league as of 2018, but for the most part, Bynum has been off the grid. You can catch him at events here and there or games, stuff like that. But ultimately, he's lived a low profile since leaving the NBA. Next up, Danny Granger. Danny Granger, the 17th pick in the 2005 NBA draft. He was selected by the Indiana Pacers, and he was named to the NBA All-Rookie team. In 2006, Granger became one of only 4 players to hit 103 field goals in a season. But in 2007 is where his career really started to take shape. He was the team's leading scorer at this point, averaging almost 20 points per game. He set the franchise record by making 65 straight free throws, breaking the record set by Reggie Miller 2 years prior. And on October 31st, 2008, Granger signed a 5-year, $60 million contract extension with the Indiana Pacers. During the same season, he became the first player in NBA history to increase his scoring average by at least 5 points per game in 3 consecutive seasons. The first Indiana player to average more than 25 points per game in 30 years. He ranked 5th in the NBA at 25 points per game and was named the most improved player. He also made his first and only All-Star team. But in 2012, things were starting to go bad for Granger as the injuries would catch up. He missed the first 55 games of the season with tendonitis in his left knee, and eventually had surgery on that same knee in April. In 2012, he would miss 25 games of the season with a strained left calf. He did appear in 29 for the Pacers, but he just wasn't the same player, as his averages had dipped to 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist per game. He was traded the following season to the Philadelphia 76ers and was bought out and signed by the Clippers for the rest of the season. In 2014, he signed with the Miami Heat, and he was traded to the Phoenix Suns. However, due to knee problems, he did not play a single game for Phoenix. He was traded once again to the Detroit Pistons, but was waived by the Pistons, and the injury bug was just too much to overcome. He would retire shortly thereafter, and in 2017 began working as a studio game analyst for the CBS Sports Network. He was inducted into the New Mexico Sports Hall of Fame and has since been living at low profile, mostly staying off the grid.